Alright, so I've come to the point where I have to admit to something. You see, the title of this video would probably make you think, what? What is my issue with Final Fantasy X-2? My issue with Final Fantasy X-2 is this. I will start to explain it now. I woke up today wanting to record a video of Final Fantasy X-2, and I get to a point in the game where I realize something about Final Fantasy X-2 specifically, a bit of Final Fantasy X as well as this. It's a way of presenting a challenge in the sense of an ability that you need to counter someone else's ability. Okay, so we take here. I had to fight some dungeon monster to help. What's his name? I don't remember. The guy we picked up on our ship. Classico, there we go. That was his name. And this enemy had an ability called Deathclaw or something like that, I'm pretty sure. And it one-shot me. And I'm like, okay, so how do I combat that? I look it up, I need to Reflect. The ability that I need is Reflect. And you might be like, okay, just farm a bit on the White Mage, get Reflect, and you'll be good to go. Except my problem with this is, the game didn't ever tell me I would need this before going in. It was so peaceful and so nice before going in that I would not have expected I would need Reflect to even be able to finish this, because you have no chance then if you do not have Reflect. So then I'm like, do I want to get Reflect? Let me think, okay? And I thought, and I'm like, so why does this game do this? This game is non-linear, which is nice in many regards, but also not nice. You see, Final Fantasy X had its thing where, with linearity, you went through the game like a smooth line, and that was so nice. Although in Final Fantasy X2, you don't. You have that option of the smooth line. The game tells you, here's an interesting spot you should go to do this quest. Except you're under-leveled for most of the quest, and you'll have a really tough time because you didn't do the 50 extra side quests that the game didn't encourage you to go see. It goes, oh, here, big spot, go here, go here. And then the other spots, you're like, okay, so I could go over in these places and potentially waste my time just to see if there's something here. And the game is basically doing that throughout. And I don't mind it, since I'm doing it 100% and I have a guide, so that works, you know? But what I dislike even more is its inability to tell the player, oh, look, you should probably level this up. This one ability or these two abilities, you know, maybe give a resistance to this and that, because you're gonna be fighting that. And it never does that. It never warns you, it never gives you any warning. And Final Fantasy X also did that, but to a lesser degree. The only enemy that really did that was Seymour in all of his forms. Well, the first one was a bit okay, but the rest of them were not. Because for Seymour Flux, for example, you needed Haste Gun and some other resistances and stuff like that, and that was not fun. Like, why would it be? The big bosses of that game had these problems, but it's understandable since they're big bosses. It still does not excuse for the fact that you did not give the player any way of knowing, oh, you'll need this in this fight, otherwise you cannot complete it. You have no chance, you'll get one shot, and you're on a timer as well. Like, for example, Seymour Flux, and that Guardian thing before Xanarkand, Seymour, whatever his name was, Omega at the end, I don't even remember. And a bit of the final boss because of his 2 stones that he had with him. And Aeons can get you through this pretty well, because they are Aeons and they're really powerful. And that's why you use them throughout the game mostly. But in Final Fantasy X2 you do not have those. That sucks a lot, because those are really good. And the game, Final Fantasy X2, I mean, also has this thing where it's like, okay, so here, look at this thing. You see this thing? Creature Creator. I'll teach you all about it in a boring tutorial that you really don't want to listen to, but you will. And you look at the tutorial and you're like, okay, I can get creatures and fight with them. And you try it out, and you notice this is really fun, they're really strong. But then you need to use abilities and learn and get XP on your main characters that you haven't been using, because it's so fun to just use the creatures, and you need to level them up for their fiend tail. That is also part of the story of the game, and it's really nice. But the game never tells you shouldn't do that too much of an extent. You know what I mean? You should limit yourself in your creature creator excess. And this isn't the only example in Final Fantasy X-2 I've seen of me needing an ability that I do not have, or being underleveled, or just needing to grind. You see, this is the problem with the game. You need to grind in order to get abilities. That is a meh kind of way of solving things. Take Dark Souls. Not 3, by the way. 3 is a very linear game. Take 2 and 1, and any other types of Dark Souls games usually are non-linear, and that's really nice for them, because you go in a zone and you finish it and you end up somewhere that you've already been, which is really interesting, where you unlock a shortcut that you didn't know was there, maybe on multiple playthroughs because the first time you didn't notice it, or anything like the sorts, you know. And it works with Dark Souls because there it is skill based. If you walk into a zone you're not supposed to because you're too early, it's completely skill based. You can kill everything there because you have skill. In Final Fantasy X-2, it's not like that. The enemies just one-shot you because you do not have the specific thing you need. Does it matter if you're good at the game or bad at the game? No, it doesn't, because you're not gonna beat it in time. Do you have haste God? Do you have a haste? Do you have slow? Do you have reflect? Do you have cure, asuna, dispel? Do you have these things? Do you have this one specific thing that kills this zombie enemy? Do you have all these things so that you could beat the game? Most don't. And that's the problem that I have with Final Fantasy X. I do love the story, and I do love the way the combat and the characters are presented, but this one detail about it makes it so unbearable to play. And you know, I don't want to play a game that I don't find fun. I think that goes for anyone. Why would I use my time playing a game that I'm supposed to enjoy, that I paid money for, that does these things that just make me not enjoy it? Why would I do that? It doesn't make sense to me. So there before me laid two options. The two options are: 1. I continue playing the game, slowly suffering through it because I do not have the right abilities and I have to grind, use hours of my time just so I have this one ability for this one enemy that will overcome and it will let me continue the story, and then another one will come in like 3 episodes that'll do the same thing to me and I have to waste my time again. I could do that, not have as much fun as I would like to, still have some fun from the story but not as much. Or I could too stop playing the game for now, take a break from it, come back later when I can be more accepting with this game's mechanics, and play something else in the meanwhile. Those are my two options. One sounds more favorable than the other one. Number 2 is the one that sounds more favorable, because as much as I would love Final Fantasy X-2's story and I would love to see its end, I can't. It's such a painful way of playing the game that it's tiring me in a sense. And then the other option, I can just go play something else that I might enjoy a lot more than forcing myself to play this. I think you get my dilemma here. And it's a good point to notice that in Final Fantasy X-2 you do not have a cheating ability. You have those cheats that I didn't use in Final Fantasy X, those cheat mechanics from F1, F2, you know, that you could activate. And I don't want to use them in Final Fantasy X-2. I feel like scum if I do. It ruins my fun and what I want to play this game like. But at the same time, I can't continue. Now you see, Final Fantasy X had a way of solving this. It gave me an option. You go to this temple and you pay so much money that you farmed for a bit. You saved up or you farmed for it, it doesn't matter, you sold stuff. And you get this Aeon. His name, Yojimbo. What does he do? He one-shots things for you. You pay him more money, in-game money, that you get from normal battles that you'll do along your way. And he one-shots things for you. And you say, okay, well, what's the drawback? The drawback is you might feel like scum. This is technically cheating, but technically not. So it's your choice if you want to actually do this. Celestial weapons are the same in Final Fantasy X. They give you the choice. So if you're even slightly far in the game, you can begin doing stuff to make yourself, in the end, be able to cheat in a way, you know? Cheat the game with its own mechanics. Final Fantasy X-2 does not allow that. It doesn't allow thinking. It's advantageous to players that just make rash and quick decisions, because the combat system is go quick, go quick, go quick. It's not like in Final Fantasy X where you just, okay, so this is turn-based. I'm gonna attack now. That guy's gonna do something, and I hope that guy doesn't do that. Actually, no. Maybe I'll counter that move in case he does it, so I don't get one shot. You know, it gives you that time to think. Oh, I could do that before he does that. You know, in Final Fantasy X2, you don't have that option. It is non-existent. You can't be like, oh, my character is really low. Okay, well, I have 3 turns to heal him before the enemy attacks again. No, it's like I have 5 seconds to think of what I do before the enemy attacks again, and one-shots everything. It's very stressful, as you can see. My analysis of it so far has been that I subconsciously don't seem to be enjoying the game. What do I mean by that? Well, the way I record videos is I wake up, and like moments after I wake up, I make a video, or after I come from school, depending on if I have vacation or I have school. And after I do the video, I get on with my day. You know, it's the first thing I do. Now there comes a problem at times. The problem being if I don't enjoy it. What if I don't enjoy it? I thought of that, and I never encountered it until now. I enjoyed playing Final Fantasy X, Dark Souls, Hades. Dark Souls 2 is a different matter. I stopped that series because of something else that I had to deal with, and I didn't have time to do it. But I will come back to it at some point, and I do enjoy it. So then, I've come to this point where I'm playing Final Fantasy X2. It should be the same, right? No. I wake up and I'm like, oh, I have to record another 30-minute video, another 30 minutes of me playing that game where I entered the game, I get on the loading screen, press record, and I hear the same song and I do the same stuff with slight variation and difference, with no real progression in the story other than, oh, you know, wants his boyfriend back. And, you know, I really do want to see where it goes, the story, but I have to work so hard for it that it doesn't seem to be worth it. So that's why, in the end, my decision is move on and play another game until I can finish this one. It might be a long time from now. I don't know. I actually have no plans on when I'm gonna come back to this game. Neither for Dark Souls 2. I don't know. It depends on the time when I feel like it. And for now, I'll leave it at that. I'm not gonna be continuing Final Fantasy X2 for now. Sorry for those who were really hoping to see me finish it and my reaction to the story, but I'll be doing that another day. Not today, not tomorrow, and not in a month, sadly. That's it for me, and I guess I'll see you in a new series when I decide on what to play, maybe in a day or two. So for now, see ya.